If you're broke, you're not just poor. You're invisible. No one listens. No one cares. Because the world doesn't reward effort. It rewards power. And Niccolo Machiavelli knew one thing. If you want to rise from nothing, you don't need luck. You don't need pity. You need strategy. You need dark psychology. Because poverty isn't just a lack of money. It's a mindset. A position of weakness in a world that only respects strength. And today, I'll show you how to escape it. They lied to you. Told you that if you just worked harder, you'd get ahead. But Machiavelli stripped away that illusion. Money doesn't flow to the hardest worker. It flows to the sharpest mind, to the one who knows how to move people, not bricks. If you want to rise from poverty, you have to stop thinking like a servant and start thinking like a prince. By the end of this video, you'll know 10 ruthless Machiavellian steps to climb from nothing to wealth, power, and finally, respect. If you crave power, clarity, and control over your own mind, subscribe now. This channel doesn't feed your ego. It sharpens your edge. Let's begin. Accept the cold truth of poverty. If you're broke, let's drop the motivational sugarcoating. You don't just have a temporary setback. You're vulnerable. You're forgettable. You're in danger. Machiavelli wouldn't pat you on the back for trying your best. He would stare through you and say, if you have no resources, you have no voice. If you have no wealth, you are owned. Look around you. How many men do you see trapped in silence, working day and night, waiting for someone to notice them? And still, no one comes. Because in this world, the world of power, being poor doesn't make you a hero. It makes you a servant. Here's the brutal truth. You could be kind, wise, gifted, noble, but if your pockets are empty, you're invisible to the game of power. And if you're invisible, you don't win. You don't lead. You don't even get to speak. Poverty is not just lack of money. It's lack of choice, lack of options, lack of strategic moves. You become the one waiting for help, for a raise, for the world to change. But here's the insight that separates the Machiavellian mind. The poor man who stays comfortable in struggle is not oppressed. He is mentally disarmed. He thinks being broke builds character, that one day someone will come reward his silent suffering. They won't. Your pain, your long nights, your quiet sacrifices mean nothing if they don't turn into power. Machiavelli would say, you want to rise? Then first, you must hate what has made you weak. And that's the turning point. The first ruthless act of wealth building is to look in the mirror and say, I will never let myself be this powerless again. Let go of the pride that says, I'm doing this the right way. There is no right way in power. There is only strategy and consequence. If poverty has made you invisible, then your new mission is this, to become so useful, so smart, so strategic, that they can't ignore you even if they tried. And it starts by admitting the truth most people avoid. Poverty is not a badge of honor. It is a fire, and you must either rise from it or burn in it. That is the first key to the dark psychology of rising from nothing. Own your weakness. Then swore to yourself, you will never live like this again. Now you're ready to build. Build ruthless discipline. When you're broke, you don't have power, you don't have protection, you don't even have time to waste. You have one currency, discipline. And if you don't master that, game over. Machiavelli understood this deeply. He said, the prince who cannot command himself cannot command anything. And here's the harsh truth. When you have no money, you have no margin for error. You don't get to take a break because you're tired. You don't get to figure it out later. Every second is blood. Every choice is survival. Every habit is a weapon or a noose. You either sharpen yourself or the world carves you up. So what do? You turn your life into a fortress. Wake up earlier than your enemies. Train harder than your past self. Say no to distractions like your life depends on it, because it does. While they scroll, you study. While they binge, you build. While they talk, you move. You lock into a schedule. You eat like it's fuel, not entertainment. You train your body like it's your armor. And most importantly, you protect your time like a ruthless gatekeeper. Because when you're broke, your calendar is your only capital. No one's giving you opportunities. No one's handing you power. You earn it with the one thing no one can take from you: your discipline. Look, you're not trying to become motivated. You're building a system, a brutal, boring, beautiful system. You don't rise by feeling like it. You rise by doing what must be done, especially when you feel like nothing. Because here's what the weak don't understand. You don't need motivation. You need orders. You need commands, issued by yourself, obeyed by yourself. Discipline is when you obey the future you, not the lazy voice in your head. And one day, when that voice says, "You've earned it," it won't be comfort it offers you. It'll be power. So build ruthless discipline. Control your time, command your body, guard your energy. Because when you're starting with nothing, discipline is the only sword you carry. Sharpen it, swing it, win with it. That's how the climb begins. Learn skills that print money. Let me say this first. You cannot hard work your way out of poverty if all you're doing is low-value labor. Machiavelli would laugh at the idea that working harder alone brings power. He knew the truth. Knowledge is what separates kings from peasants. And in today's world, skills are the new weapons, not degrees, not busy work. Skills that print money. Let's be clear, the poor chase jobs, the rich build weapons. Weapons like sales, the art of turning words into money. Persuasion, the ability to bend minds and shape decisions. Negotiation, the power to change terms, twist outcomes, and walk away richer. Investing, using money as a soldier, not a slave. You master even one of those, and poverty becomes a choice. So stop telling yourself you'll work your way up. You'll die tired and broke. Instead, choose one high-value skill. Go all in, study it ruthlessly, practice it daily. Don't dabble, don't wait for permission. Don't waste time becoming a jack of all trades. Because here's the dark truth. When you're poor, you don't have the luxury to be well-rounded. You must become lethal at something. One skill, sharpened so deeply that people pay just to have you in the room. And here's why it works. High-income skills break the rules of time. A laborer earns per hour. A skilled negotiator earns in one meeting. A great salesman earns from one conversation. This is how the game is played, not with sweat, but with strategy. Machiavelli once said, "The wise man arms himself with the tools of his time." Well, in this time, your tools are words, psychology, leverage. Learn to sell, learn to pitch, learn to close, learn to invest. Because here's the truth. If you master one money-generating skill, you'll never beg again. You'll never chase again. You'll never be a pawn again. You'll sit at the table, or better, own the table. Forget the noise. Forget the advice to just work harder. Machiavelli would whisper in your ear, learn the skills of kings, and finally, you'll rise from the dirt to power. Exploit human greed. Here's what poor people get wrong. They try to sell what's logical, but people don't pay for logic. They pay for desire, not what they need, what they crave. Machiavelli understood this centuries ago. He watched kings fall not from violence, but from seduction, ambition, vanity. He knew, if you want to control people, learn what controls them. And the number one lever? Greed. Greed for status, greed for power, greed for beauty, attention, escape. So if you want to get rich, don't build what people should want. Build what they can't stop thinking about. Look around. Nobody needs luxury watches, overpriced courses, plastic surgeries, or status cars, but they buy, they obsess, they crave, because that's what greed does. So here's the game. Find the hidden hunger people carry and feed it. Find the emotional itch, then sell the illusion that you can scratch it. Let me be clear. You're not exploiting people unfairly. You're simply stepping in where demand already lives, but being smarter about it. While others beg people to buy, you'll build products, offers, or content that people chase because it promises pleasure, power, escape. Want proof? Look at gambling apps, fitness influencers selling body fantasies, crypto freedom coins, business coaches selling the dream. All of it is built on craving, not logic. So ask yourself, what does your market secretly desire? Is it to feel more powerful, more attractive, more in control, more respected, more rich? Once you know that, position yourself as the bridge between what they have and what they desperately want. Machiavelli would have called this the art of channeling vice into victory. You're not manipulating people. You're becoming a mirror, reflecting their hidden hunger and offering the fantasy they'll gladly pay for. This is what rich people do differently. They don't waste time convincing. They create desire. They don't chase logic. They sell illusions, because at the end of the day, the poor try to sell what works. The rich sell what wants to be bought. And when you learn to tap into that, finally, you'll realize you don't need luck. You need leverage on human nature. Use others' resources. You don't need money to start. You need leverage. Let me say that again, because it's the key to escaping poverty. You don't rise by working harder. You rise by standing on other people's resources. That's not manipulation. That's strategy. Machiavelli studied this in war. Princes didn't use their own gold. They taxed, they borrowed, they called in favors, they built armies funded by others, because real power is the ability to move pieces on the board without paying for the pieces. So if you're starting with nothing, use other people's time, skills, money, platforms, networks, influence. You're broke? Fine, but someone out there has the skill you need. Someone else has the reach. Another has the audience, or the capital, or the machinery. You become rich by connecting those pieces before you ever own them. Example, you're good at writing, but you've got no audience. Find someone with an audience but no time. Partner, pitch, share revenue. That's not being opportunistic. That's being SMART. Or maybe you have a product idea, but zero capital. Fine. Find someone who has money but no ideas. Convince them. Offer equity. Build on their resources. You don't need to own everything at first. You need to wield it. Understand this. The poor think, how do I do it alone? The rich think, who already has what I need, and how do I make myself useful to them? This is what Machiavelli meant when he warned against mercenaries but praised strategic alliances. You don't need a throne. You need the influence to sit next to one. So if you're broke, stop waiting to save enough or build from scratch. Start moving pieces. Find the person with reach, the one with the money, the one with the access, the one with time, the one with followers, the one who's bored or stuck or overwhelmed, and offer them one thing, a bridge between where they are and where they secretly want to go. Be that bridge and you'll be valued and you'll be paid. Finally, you'll stop asking, how do I start with nothing? And start asking, how do I use everything around me that others are blind to? Because the truth is, broke people look at what they lack. Strategic people look at what others have and build their empire from it. Master appearances early. If you're broke, you better not look broke. Let that sink in. People don't treat you based on who you are. They treat you based on who they think you are. Machiavelli understood this. Power is perception. And when you're poor, perception is your only weapon. You may not have money yet, but you do have control over how you present yourself. Speak clearly, walk with purpose, dress like you value yourself, move in silence, carry mystery. Because let me tell you something brutal. If you look like everyone else, they'll treat you like everyone else. But if you move differently, they'll wonder, they'll question, they'll assume you know something they don't. And that's when opportunities come. Not because you're ready, but because you look like you might be. This is where most people mess up. They say, I'll dress better once I'm rich. I'll speak better once I have power. I'll move differently once I succeed. You flip it. Start acting like it now, and success begins to chase you. A sharp suit, a confident silence, a focused walk, a controlled tone of voice. These things cost little, but signal everything. Because the rich don't respect desperation, they respect control. Machiavelli wrote, "Men judge more by the eye than the hand, because seeing is believing." Translation: master appearances, and you master people's perception. People want to follow those who seem like they know where they're going, not the one asking for help, but the one others already watch. So yes, you may be broke, you may be struggling, but stop looking like it. Fix your body language, fix your wardrobe, simple, clean, sharp. Fix your words, speak with precision, not noise. Fix your energy, become unreadable, unpredictable. Do this, and the world won't see you as poor. They'll see you as rising, and that perception will open rooms your bank account could never enter. Because in this world, looking valuable is the first step to becoming valuable. And finally, if people believe you're powerful, they'll hand you power. Appear rich in discipline, mystery, and self-control, long before you hold any gold. Turn every ally into a tool. Let's be honest. Most people make the same mistake. They look at relationships through the lens of emotion, friendship, loyalty, support. But Machiavelli, he looked at people like chess pieces, each with a different value, each with a different move. If you want to rise from nothing, you must stop seeing friends as comfort and start seeing them as tools. Cold? Yes, but necessary. Because here's the dark truth. You don't need more friends. You need more functional allies. People who can open doors. People who know someone you don't. People who can fund your idea, amplify your voice, or protect your blind spots. You're building an empire. That means every connection must have a purpose. Ask yourself, who do I know that has access to power? Who do I know that people listen to? Who do I know that can protect, connect, or fund me without emotion in the way? Because at this level, emotional comfort is a luxury. Strategic relationships are survival. Study the powerful. They don't waste time explaining themselves to people who can't move the needle. They build networks, not friend circles. Does this mean betray your friends? It means stop placing loyalty above leverage. It means stop sharing secrets with those who can't help you win. Stop prioritizing comfort over strategy. Stop clinging to people just because they're familiar. Instead, start climbing. Use alliances wisely, and never let emotions blind you to what someone's position can offer. Machiavelli wrote, "A wise ruler does not surround himself with the most loyal, but with the most capable." That's your new rule. Not who loves you, but who helps you move forward. Every handshake, every DM, every lunch, it's an opportunity to leverage, and if it's not, move on. Because emotion is expensive, and when you're climbing from zero, you can't afford it. So finally, turn every ally into a ladder. Climb in silence, and when you reach the top, you'll look around and realize the ones who helped you there, we were never just friends. They were strategic moves. Eliminate poverty habits. You can't rise if you're still thinking like the person who's stuck. Because poverty isn't just a lack of money, it's a pattern, a mindset, a set of habits that silently chain you to the bottom. Let's call it out. The poverty mindset begs. It overshares. It seeks attention without value. It trades hours for gossip instead of gold. Machiavelli would say, the powerless speak, the powerful act. So if you're serious about rising, you have to slay these habits like enemies on a battlefield. Let's break it down. Habit 1. Begging for attention or help you scroll. You post every minor win online hoping someone will notice. You DM people with "please help me grow." Stop. Power is never begged for. It's built. Be so good they can't ignore you. Be so silent they start asking where you went. Habit 2. Oversharing your struggles. Bro, I'm broke. I'm trying so hard, but nothing's working. Nobody cares. That's not cruel. That's reality. The world listens when you've already overcome, not while you're still in the pit. Silence equals power. Talk less, win more. Habit 3. Wasting time in gossip and emotion. You say you want to build wealth, but spend hours arguing, venting, stalking others online. That's not hunger, that's avoidance. Machiavelli would call it self-distraction, a luxury for fools. Rich minds don't chase noise, they chase edges. Every second you spend talking about others is a second you're not building yourself. So what do you do instead? You replace those habits with silence, so your energy builds inside you. Study, so your moves are calculated, not chaotic. Execution, so your life transforms without needing applause. These are not just habits, they are the rituals of those who rise from nothing. Because here's the final truth: the habits that kept you broke will never build your empire. And if you don't kill them now, they will kill every dream you have. So finally, eliminate poverty habits. Not slowly, not someday, now. Kill the noise, sharpen your edge, and start building a life that doesn't need explaining. Take bold risks when opportunity appears. When you have nothing, every second of hesitation costs you. Machiavelli understood something most people fear to accept. Fortune favors the bold, not the careful, not the hesitant, not the ones who wait for perfect conditions. Because in the real world, perfect never comes. When you're at the bottom, you can't afford to overthink. You can't afford to wait. You're not playing defense, you're playing survival. That means you look for cracks, tiny slivers in the wall of life. And when you see one, you strike. Maybe it's a job offer that feels uncomfortable, but could level you up. Maybe it's a business idea that scares you, but could free you. Maybe it's a room full of people above your level, and you talk anyway. You don't freeze, you don't wait, you jump. Because here's the brutal truth: most people stay broke because they let small windows of opportunity close. They tell themselves, maybe later. I'm not ready. What if I fail? But that's the psychology of slavery, not strategy. Machiavelli would whisper, better to fail boldly than to fade quietly. You don't need 100 chances. You need one. One opportunity, taken with full force, can rewrite 10 years of being ignored. The world doesn't reward preparation alone. It rewards those who move when the moment comes. So if you want to escape the bottom, you must rewire your response to opportunity. When it knocks, you kick the door down. No hesitation, no apology, no fear, because fortune is a fleeting shadow, and it doesn't wait for the timid. It rewards the one who leaps before the world sees the path. So finally, if you see your chance, even if it's small, scary, or unsure, take it. Boldness buys freedom. Hesitation buys regret. Build wealth into power. Let's get one thing straight. Money alone doesn't make you powerful. A man with wealth, but no presence, no control, no influence, he's just a rich target. Machiavelli would remind you, wealth is not the finish line. It's the weapon, it's the throne, it's the bait. You don't chase riches for comfort. You chase them to command, to control the game, not just survive it. Ask yourself, what do you really want money for? A bigger house, a nice car, or the ability to walk into any room and have the power to move things in silence? Because that is what true wealth buys. Leverage. Wealth buys time. It buys freedom. It buys silence when you need it, and noise when you want to shake the room. But more than that, it buys perception. People treat you differently when you're wealthy, not because of who you are, but because of what they think you can do. That's why you must never just get rich. You must build your wealth into a fortress, into a mirror that blinds enemies, into a stage that makes your presence undeniable. Use it to influence. Use it to protect. Use it to control the game board while others play checkers. You want to be dangerous? Then build wealth with strategy. Buy assets that grow while you sleep. Own your time. Master investments. Fund projects that make others owe you. Machiavelli would say, the prince who controls gold controls loyalty, because loyalty built on dependence lasts longer than loyalty built on love. So when you rise from nothing, don't stop at having money. Build your wealth like a weapon. Shape it into a reputation. Use it to move silently, to strike without warning, to reign without begging. Because finally, wealth is not the end. It is the throne upon which power sits. You want the truth? Most poor stay poor because they wait, they beg, they obey. They're told, be good, work hard, play fair. Your time will come, but Machiavelli would whisper something colder. Power never rewards obedience. It rewards strategy. The rich don't wait. They create the opportunity. They don't beg. They leverage people who do. They don't obey the system. They build their own system and make others follow it. See, morality is a luxury of the powerful. But if you're starting with nothing, you cannot afford warm ideals. You need cold strategy. You play to survive. You stay poor. You play to win. With precision, with calm aggression, with a mind sharpened like a blade, you rise. This is your hidden insight. The game is not fair. It's never been fair, but it's winnable if you stop pretending it is. Imagine being broke today, invisible, powerless, and 6 years from now, you're untrouchable. Not because you worked harder, not because you begged louder, but because you thought colder, acted sharper, and every weakness, every rejection, every lonely night you spent building, you turned into a weapon. This is not a fantasy, it's a strategy, and the clock starts now. From zero, you have nothing to lose, and everything to take. Machiavelli's path is not for the soft-hearted. Don't survive poverty, escape it, conquer it, and rule with the wealth it gives you, because the crown isn't given to the loudest. It's taken by the one who builds in silence and strikes without mercy.